Hi guys, Alicia here, thenewBcrafter. Today I'm going to be doing my craft room tour. So this is going to be a really in-depth craft room tour, going through all the buckets, all the drawers, showing you where everything is. But if you don't want to know that much, don't blame you. There's another video in the description box below that just very briefly goes over my craft room, 5 or 6 minutes long. So the link to that will be in the description box below, but if you want to know everything about this craft room, stay tuned. So I got a new craft room, which is my third craft room I think it is now. And this is not me saying I want to rearrange things, like the house, get a new room. This was us moving. So I am again in the basement, which is where my first craft room was. My second one was on the top floor of the house. So the struggle that has been there is with the light. There are 2 pot lights in this room, there and there, but it's not the most, so I need to figure out a little bit better lighting, possibly, but I have 2 lamps on my desk, so my desk is well lit, but it's not the best lighting when I get into my cupboards and things. So that's not that big of a deal for me, but when you're getting your craft room, make sure you have good lighting. A lot of the stuff that is here is from my old craft room and the old house. I didn't buy a lot. I spent about $40 at the Dollar Tree getting different bins and things. And that's about all that I actually went out to get all the other stuff we had lying around or I DIY'd. So I'm going to start at my craft desk and we're going to go around the room. So as you can see, this is my craft desk. It is the original craft desk that I had for my first craft room. It's from Habitat and Humanity that we used to have in our old city. It was pretty cheap when we got it. It wasn't that expensive for what it is. It's solid wood, so it's really sturdy, so I don't have to worry about it shaking or anything for videos. I want to repaint it white because it kind of doesn't match the room right now, and I'm going to add handles onto the drawers just so that it looks a bit nicer. But this craft room does not have a wall there. That is the bead room that is there. So that's a room right there. There's the door. But there's no wall there. So when I film, I put my camera right there on the floor on the other side of my desk, and then I can sit in my desk and I can film. But this is my craft mat. I got it at Michael's. It was $25, originally $70. Thank you, Martha Stewart Supplies, for going on sale. Not sure why. I think Michael's might not be carrying them anymore, or Martha Stewart is redoing all their stuff. Not entirely sure, but I love this craft mat. It folds up into 3. It was on sale, so you can see the seams, and the seams are a little bit ripped, but it still stays in 3 pieces, and if it doesn't, I can always put tape on the bottom. But I love having a huge craft mat. Over here, I have some nails for a project that I want to do shortly, and then I have a baking sheet that I got from Dollar Tree. Painted it white here and then black right along the bottom edges, which you'll be able to see when I actually paint the desk. I took Dollar Tree mugs, $1.25 each, some glass marbles that I already had, and put all of my supplies into them so I can keep all that stuff really handy. So like scissors, craft knives, rotary cutters, all that. I can just reach over it and grab, and if I want to move it, I can just pick up the cookie sheet and move it somewhere where it's not going to be in my way. So I have 2 lamps. This is the same lamp I had in my old craft room, and then this one right here was previously in my bedroom, but I just have them both at my desk because they are both very similar and don't produce very different light, so it looks good. Then I have here A2 size card bases, all pre-made up in color order on my desk. This is a box that I bought card bases in. I got card bases in for, I think it was my birthday one year, and I just recovered it with some scrapbook paper and some rhinestones so that looks really nice. So in my desk on the left hand side, the top drawer, I have all of my ink. Most of this is pigment ink, none of it's really high quality, so I keep it upside down so that the ink is on the top of the ink pad for when I want to use it, compared to upside down where I don't have access to the ink. I just swatched on the bottom of all of them. I did a detailed pattern so I could see the color and how well it actually stamps. Then in my next drawer I have my watercolor paints here in their original trays, a pencil case that has my watercolor pencil crayons in it, have my graphite at the back, scrap, watercolor, paper, In here I have little watercolor pieces that I've done, an eraser, and my watercolor in the bottom. And then this top piece here I use as a palette sometimes. All handy. I have acrylic paints there, and then my acrylic paints, varnishes, gessos that are too big to fit in the next drawer. Next drawer is all my acrylic paint. Organized it in color order, and I love the fact it's more or less, except for the top row, all the same brand, so it looks really nice. And then in the back I just have oil paints. So now on the right hand side I have handy supplies like rulers and scrapers and erasers and tape, pencil sharpeners, pins for unclogging glue, all those fun things, and post-it notes in there. And then in here I just have stickers all filed away, so I have like flat ones and rhinestones and ones that are dimensional. Then I have paint samples and art I actually need to put up. We're moving over to the right. I have another desk. This was from a garage sale quite a few years ago. It's about $3 I think it was. Then I have my paper cutter on top. Love this paper cutter. Don't know what I would do without it. Then here I have my mouse pad, which I covered again in paper so that it looks nice. I really wanted to color coordinate this room, have it look really nice for videos and everything. I have paper clips in here for when I cut my paper. It's really handy to have both of those side by side. And then I just have tape, because who doesn't need tape? Then this is basically the only way to get my craft room right here. As you can see, that is the beadroom floor, craft room floor. Box of extra yarn. I think I'm going to cover that in white wrapping paper, which I bought, just haven't used it yet. On top here is one of the Dollar Tree bins. I used Avery labels to label everything. There's still a few things I need to label, including this box I think. But I use Avery labels to label everything using their free online templates. This wall here is green, not my color of choice. I'd go for a light pink eventually when have the opportunity to get this repainted, but craft room is not on our top of our priority list of things to redo. So I have the same yarn storage unit that I had in my old craft room. I had two in my old craft room, but we're using the one somewhere else, and I don't have a whole lot of yarn. I can keep it like front row and back row of it, and it can all stay in one, so it takes up less space. So gonna go with the one storage unit. So then I have my scoreboard. I don't use my scoreboard a whole lot. It's mostly for making card bases. It is the main priority, and some decorations, but other than that, my scoreboard sits there. Still like to have it handy, so I keep it on this table. This case is where my smaller scraps of white paper go. I know I'll use them eventually, just not quite yet. In this berry picking basket that I just covered with some tape and string. Yes, we went strawberry picking, and yes, this is the basket that we used a few years ago. So keep those baskets and recolor them, and they're perfect for A2 size card bases. And I just have all of the card bases here, and I have little pink dividers. Again, going the whole pink and white color theme, dividing all of that. Here is the bookshelf. I can't remember if this was in my old craft room or not. I don't think it was. I think it was moved to the basement at our old house. On top of it, I still have the same marker racks for my Spectrum Noir alcohol markers, but they're just painted white. They were originally wood from Michael's, painted them white. Now they look a lot nicer, and it was just a time-consuming process, but it was well worth it. Here I have just a normal office supply store file divider, covered it again in paper, and then in here I have all my coloring pages and my swatch book. Here are a bunch of Dollar Tree bins. I got them from our local Dollar Tree. So here I have my loop-de-loom and all of my crochet hooks. I have extra photos, so sometimes I'll do a scrapbook, I'll have photos left over from it, and then I'll just throw them in there, and then maybe one day I'll figure out what I'm going to do with those. In here I have ribbon, and that box is backwards. And again, these are all labeled, except for that middle one right there I wrote by hand, with the Avery labels, just from Staples. Next bin I have all my punches, so my envelope punch board, my circle cutter, for earring displays, all that's there. I have scotch tape and duct tape in that one. My washi tape and glitter tape is in a different spot, but my foam tape is also in that one. The next one I have my glitter. My mom keeps telling me to put that on a higher shelf if little kids come over. She's a little worried about that. And then here I have stuff for scrapbooks that I have been supposed to do but I haven't done yet. And then on the bottom, paper and scrapbooks, again, for those projects. On this wall here, it's a pretty big wall. I was originally thinking about doing a chalkboard, then realized that everyone in this house has dust allergies. Not a good idea. Then we were thinking about doing whiteboard or metallic paint, and those are fairly expensive to get, so I'm actually going to be doing nail art. So I'm going to be putting nails in foam core. I'm going to do a butterfly or an owl. I haven't decided yet. But I got the nails. I still need to get some foam core in that. That's coming. This right here I got from Michael's in the clearance section for $2. It was originally $20. And I just hung that on the wall there to fill in some of the empty space that was there. So next we have a door, and we think this was originally all going back a few more feet is how big that room is, because it's all on the same electrical switch, which we'll fix eventually, and that door also doesn't have a handle, so you can tell the light's on in there. But that's where we keep all of our Christmas stuff and wrapping supplies, and I keep extra canvases and that I have not used yet, or paintings in progress, hidden in that room. And then it just goes all the way over to where that ends. So on the back wall here, I went all over Google Images, and I found all kinds of craft quotes, put those in frames. I did this one and that one myself. I just painted them and added some glitter to the butterfly one. And then I used some scrapbook paper for the pieces of paper that weren't large enough, and there is my photo wall. I love how it turned out, and thank you to my friends who helped me. So here I have all of the scrapbook cases. I had all these in my old craft room on top of the glass desk. But each scrapbook set has its own box, and then I just hand labeled those with scrapbook paper. And all the scrapbook paper that I've used in this room is from the Recollections Blossom and Bliss set, including these labels here, and I just wrote on those in black Sharpie. Then is my 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I did it in color order, like I did in my old craft room. My old one was in a dresser, which is now in my room, where it's supposed to be. There's never enough room in my old room, though. So I have that. They're all held together by paper clips and in color order, so I can see all of my paper. Underneath I have an extension cord, and we've had this unit forever. So in the bottom back of it, we cut a little rectangle out so the extension cord can come through. So that's the second place I have to plug things in my craft room. So I can now plug things in if I need to over there. So this is the same double door unit that I had in my old craft room. I have different glass containers that I have for filming on top of it. Inside is the disaster zone and why it's behind closed doors. Thankfully this is like the only disaster zone of my craft room, but it's an organized mess. So in here I have all my notebooks just in a file divider again. It's a little heavy, so I don't feel like taking it out right now when I have one hand. Have bad brushes, my brush water container. My good brushes and my watercolor brushes are in this here. I like to keep it flat, not on top of anything, not under anything. I have magnetic tape. I really don't have a spot for it, so I just shoved it in the cupboard because I was not that creative, and still not. These are just acrylic blocks for mixing paint and that there. Here I have foam brushes. Behind that I have styrofoam plates and a little bit of sandpaper. Here I have watercolor paper, canvases, paintings that look bad that I kind of should do something with, but I haven't done anything with yet because I ain't got time for that at this point in time. This here is mostly a windmobile, I guess you call it, for outside. that I haven't done yet. I've had it for about a year and a half. I started it ago. Haven't done anything with it yet. I have my fabric paint in these two containers here, and I have larger stiffy and varnishes and things there. Same photo boxes I had in my old craft room. I'm actually using a few less than I was before. From Michael's. I got them on sale and they're like $2 each. I couldn't say no. I'm weak. So I keep, in the top one I have all my supplies for my Christmas cards. I keep all my crafting receipts just to scare myself one day and find out how much I actually spend. I don't want to do that. But I keep it all there. I have my tiles for when I make coasters. I have a box full of stuff for Halloween and fall cards, like my burlap and some scrapbook papers. That's the only time I can use them, so different stamp sets and that are all in there. In here I have cards I've received. I have stencils in this box. This one isn't labeled. Christmas projects. I need to finish those before Christmas or I don't have anything to give out at Christmas. And supplies for baby cards. I got that when I was applying for a business, but I seriously know no one who's having a child, which is probably a good thing. I have all of my incomplete scrapbooks. They were on sale, so I bought them. Because you haven't heard me say that before. So this unit here was my great-grandma's. And then we had it in our old kitchen. Now we actually have a spot in our kitchen and more cupboards than we probably need, but I'm completely cool with that. So in the top here I have stuff to put on Kijiji, and then I keep all the brown paper, so when I go out to the store and I buy breakables, I keep all the paper in that bin to cover my desk when I'm doing different painting projects. And here I have scrap paper, which is like scrap paper that are too small to keep with the larger sheets, but I don't really want to get rid of them, because if I do I'll start cursing in a few months when I figure out what to do with them. And here I have rags, which is just small pieces of fabric that don't have a use for unfinished projects that I seriously have no idea what to do with. This door used to be see-through, but I wanted to hide the possible mess that could happen and really coordinate the unit with the room. So I used this one, and this was from the Fun Fundamentals scrapbook set. I lined the transparent door with it, and I just lined up the pattern going down. So this is a Dollar Tree box, and I used a shipping tag, and then I put the Avery label on it again. I put all my fancy tape there. I have ink blenders. This thing is really cute. It's a little bathtub. But ink blenders are there. I have foam tape and different foam stuff there. So you can use this on a card by putting tape on either side to give it dimension, which is cheaper than buying actual foam tape. In here I have bookmark bases, so like shipping tags and that are in there. I have embroidery thread on the top and bottom, and then different embellishments in the two cases. And these are embroidery thread cases I used, but very handy to keep different things in. On the side wall of my craft room I have two shelves with bins. I love having these here because I can keep them separated but handy, and it doesn't really take up any space that I'm per se using. So I have glass marbles and that. This is really heavy, so I probably shouldn't have it on the edge, because if you look at the shelf it's actually bending that way. So I need to move that. But in here I have extra scissors, I have pencils and pens, hot glue, which includes hot glue sticks and silicone mats, and my 3 hot glue guns. I have clear stamps and wood mounted stamps in here, so I have all the clear stamps in the back, acrylic blocks at the back, my DIY Misty in the back, and then I have wood mounted stamps in the front. In here I have pencil crayons, I have office supplies that I like to have in the craft room because I'm too lazy to go upstairs all the time to the actual office. Then I have embossing stuff. The heat gun was here, but it's actually being used to take paint off of furniture, which is what it's supposed to be used for, not embossing. Because I'm using a heat embosser from the hardware store, which works just fine for me. But others want to use it for what it's actually used for, which just makes sense. In here I have sequins, and I remember my old sequin storage and I liked it, but I just didn't use it that much, so I just have it in a bin here. I really want to keep it color coordinated so that it all looked really nice, and then I just have clear glue and different kinds of glue in there. I have my pin board, and then these two pieces are going to go up here and here underneath the shelving unit. I just haven't done that yet, so I'm going to pan around the room for you. So this is the side wall on my left hand side. I'm sitting at my desk, going around to the two units, all of my paper, that accent wall with all the photos. Now with these, the one thing I did want to mention, because I film and I don't like to see glare in my videos, I put the glass behind the paper, so the paper's in front of the glass, so that there's no glare happening. I have the, I don't know what to call that, the measuring art, the bookshelf with my markers, yarn, and papers, and then back to my paper cutter, and we're back around my desk and there's no wall. So I hope that you guys enjoyed my craft room tour. It was a lot of fun to try and get this room all organized, and thank you to Pinterest for hours of inspiration that you provided for me while waiting till we moved, which was about a month and a half we had to wait, but I love the new house. So if you have any questions about my craft room, how I store anything, feel free to comment below and I'll try and answer the best I can. And if you want to see anything more in depth, let me know, and if there's enough of you that ask for it, I will do a video. So thank you so much for watching. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for future videos, and hope to see you guys next time. Bye!